Joey's already in there. Or he was.
What's that smell?
Dookie.
I would say I'd like to be in the room with whoever said that was a good idea, but people in the room were Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon. So
Yeah. I still don't understand like the plot of that movie. I was thinking about it all day yesterday. I was like, what was that movie about?
I think it might be best that we don't know. Leave a little suspense.
Yeah. All right,
Let's see.
let everybody know we're here and we're ready to rock and roll.
Open up them tabs.
Yeah, I got all my tabs open. So greetings, YouTube.
Tomorrow kicks off Horror Month.
Yeah.
Finish putting up the Halloween decor, get some Halloween themed candy.
Ours has been up for a month.
We found so they're doing like ghoulish M&Ms. They've got like Reese's pumpkins and all kinds of like they've got more variety this year, and I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I got to go get some more candy. I've gotten like 3 bags of candy so far, and it hasn't made it very far.
There's just something different about like the Halloween Oreos. They're different than the traditional ones, and they're really good.
Howdy, Stepdad Fighter. Nice to see you in the chat room.
What's going on, Stepdad Fighter?
But I got all my tabs open. Everything's good to go. I'm ready if you are.
I reckon so.
Let's do this. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and welcome to what is today, International Podcast Day.
It is.
Doing this on, it's the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
Yeah, it's International Podcast Day. So if you got your favorite podcasts out there, especially if you like this one, share it. Share it with your friends.
You know what's funny is like I don't think this was intentional, but I had to record a podcast for work. And then I recorded an episode of Real Wisdom when I got home, and now I'm doing the show. So it kind of worked out that I get to do like everything I'm involved with that has to do with podcasting has happened on International Podcast Day. So it kind of worked out that way.
Yesterday was a full podcast day too. We did our Patreon extra commentary track yesterday. So if you're not a patron, you're gonna have to wait like a month for it to come out. But if you're a patron, you got it yesterday. And we did a commentary track for the seminal Hulk Hogan masterpiece, No Holds Barred.
It's almost up there with the greatness of Mr. Nanny and Suburban Commando. But yeah, we watched No Holds Barred. I have not watched that movie in probably like a decade. I have it on DVD because they released it, a while back, and I bought it, and that was the first time I had watched it. But it was something. I will say that some of the greatest dialogue ever written in the history of American cinema.
So what do you think? What do you think is the better movie? Super Mario Brothers, the original 1991 or 92 when it came out, that or No Holds Barred? No Holds Barred. Which one's better?
That's a good question. I think, see, with No Holds Barred, like there's at least some fighting that's kind of cool. You've got some cameos from like legitimate wrestlers. So I think I'd give the slight edge to No Holds Barred.
I'd say I would say it's a little more entertaining. Well, I say it's entertaining. It's entertaining watching it with you guys. and then it would be watch. If I was watching it alone, I probably would have turned it off about 5 minutes in. But since I was with you guys, it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Joey says in the chat, no wish man.
Yeah, if you
That
missed,
needs to be our movie. We combine Wishman and No Holds Barred.
that's a T-shirt idea right there.
Joey can play the villain. He can be the Zeus character, but much cooler.
I like it. But
No disrespect to Tiny Lister, R.I.P.
yeah, rest in peace.
But who doesn't love Joey Image?
But well, how was your week?
Not bad. I'm trying to remember what all I did. Got to do play-by-play for a football game on Friday, so that was pretty fun. Saturday we had the wrap party for Plain Jane, and we showed
Awesome.
the cast and crew that showed up a little snippet of the movie, which we've got about I think 3 scenes left to edit, and then once that's done, we'll send it to get color corrected, and then I'm gonna do the sound edit. And we plan to do the premiere of it December 7th, which is first Saturday of December. Here in Pensacola, we're still TBD on a venue, but that's kind of what we're looking at. November is going to be a no-go because we'll be out of town for like half the month. And then, there's Thanksgiving. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, so we're gonna shoot for December.
Well, that's great.
Joey, you don't have to shave a giant W on the side of your head, but I mean, I'd give you some serious bonus points if you did, my friend.
Yeah, Joey, if you shave your head and put a big W on the side of your head, you will be my hero forever. Because then you got to explain to people what the W stands for, and then it just brings more attention to that weird little movie that we watched.
Yeah, exactly. But how was your week?
It was good. We went and saw that movie Wild Robot on Saturday, and
What was that?
It was really, really good. I highly recommend it. I'm a sucker for animated movies and especially sci-fi tinged stuff. So it was right up my alley. So we had a good time with it. I highly recommend it if you are on the fence about seeing it.
I dig the Batman popcorn tin you got.
Oh, it was so awesome! They had these Batman tins, and I put a picture of it in our Discord, and it's all the Batman on a popcorn tin. And, it's got like Adam West and the Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, and it's even got what's his name from Batman Forever.
Val Kilmer?
Val Kilmer. It's got Val Kilmer on it. It's awesome. It's like one of the best purchases I've ever made.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to keep it forever, and I'll be eating my popcorn out of it at home from now on.
You should make popcorn for every commentary track we do.
Yeah.
And you can just use that.
Which I want to get to where we can do that, where we can do our commentaries live in the Discord. I know there's people that do it, and I got to figure out how to do it. Once I figure out how to do it, we'll actually have we'll set up a time where everybody can go in and listen to us do it. So that's going to be something that's coming in the future.
If we get to that point, I'm going to get just like a recliner and have a can of popcorn here, a giant soda here, and then just maybe get like a big bag of peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah.
That'll be my go-to.
Yeah, that sounds good. I could go for that right now.
That was my go-to movie snack for the longest time before COVID hit. Vanilla Coke, a medium popcorn, and peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah. Joey says I should get more of those Batman tins as Christmas gifts for you and Wally and
wink,
him.
Wink, wink.
I can do that. They weren't that expensive. They were only like $10 a piece. So
This has been the year of the popcorn bucket.
Yeah, if you have a Cinemark near your area, they got all kind of cool popcorn tins. And Angelina got a Chucky head.
Ooh,
we didn't even get popcorn in it. We just got the Chucky head.
That'd make for some great Halloween decor.
Yeah, it is. It's actually part of the Halloween decor now.
Nice.
Nick W. in the chat room, howdy, sir. And he says, is next week a top 5? Yes, it is. We were going to announce it at the end of the show, but we'll go ahead and do it now. Next week, I really wanted to do a movie-themed one. We're going to take a little break from the video games, and next week, we're going to do top 5 spooky movies for Halloween. Spooky, spoopy, whatever kind of movies you like for Halloween. Doesn't have to be scary. Doesn't have to be horror. As long as it's in it puts you in the Halloween mood. So whatever your top 5 movies are for Halloween, that's what we're doing next week.
That's going to be a tough list to do.
I know. You already know what my number one is going to be. So I mean,
yeah. It's this isn't going to be one where I text you right after the show's done and say, "Oh, I've got my list done."
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot that I like to watch, but I just have to. Well, I'll have the top 5, but I might have at least 5 runners up because I love horror movies. I love spooky movies.
And they're already showing them on TV. They were doing a bit of a Halloween movie marathon on AMC yesterday because I watched Halloween 3. Then for some reason, they went back and played Halloween 1, and then they played 2.
I meant to send this to you. I picked it up at the thrift store the other day. I wish I had it with me, but I picked up a Halloween DVD, and it's got all the extra footage that they filmed for the TV version of Halloween. I don't know if you guys know about that. Back when Halloween, the original Halloween, was picked up to be played on television, they went back and recorded and filmed some extra scenes to make it longer, so that because it's kind of a short movie anyway, I guess. They wanted some more scenes in it to make it longer to put on TV. So they went back, filmed some new scenes, and now I have that DVD with all the extra scenes in it. So that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. That's a heck of a find.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know they made one. And I saw it at the thrift store. I was like, this is mine now.
Yeah, that's like a no-brainer purchase.
Yeah. But
awesome.
But we got a little news to get to. You ready to jump into it?
Sure.
And some of today's stories were, of course, sent to us by Ms. Jackson. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the first story tonight is from tomsguide.com. Nintendo Switch 2 reportedly ready to go. Here's when it could launch. The rumor mill is steadily chugging along for the Nintendo Switch 2. Why can't I say Nintendo lately? It's like my mouth won't form the words anymore.
Are you developing some kind of like a hatred for Nintendo that's so bad that you can't even speak its name?
Did I have a stroke and not know it? Good Lord. Nintendo's follow-up to its wildly popular home console handheld hybrid, but the latest is one of its most promising. The CEO of peripheral manufacturer Blade claims the Switch successor is completed and could launch sometime early next year with rumored features like magnetic Joy-Con controllers. Let's see. Blade CEO Ruben Mercado said his company, which makes gaming accessories and peripherals, has already had access to near final units of the hardware. He said he believes the new device is done and ready to go and could launch worldwide in March or April of next year.
I mean, that would make sense because the original Switch came out in March of 2017. So I remember growing up, it seemed like the consoles would always come out towards the end of the year for those holiday sales. It's one of those things that we've heard so many rumors that I'll believe it when I see it. Until Nintendo formally announces something and says, this is the name of it, and this is when we're aiming to release it.
Yeah. So what do you think the launch title is going to be?
I mean, if I had to guess, I could see March, because March will be 8 years since the original Switch has been out. Excuse me, which is, I think a bit longer than we all thought that the lifespan of the Switch would be.
The Switch has held up like crazy for as long as it has. But for launch titles, I mean, I'm thinking there's going to be it's probably going to be probably Mario Kart 9. And what if there's a Mario Odyssey 2?
I think that's the most likely. We're not going to get a Zelda. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom just came out last year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before we get a new Zelda game, which I have heard the was it the Echoes of Wisdom that just came out. It's been getting insanely good reviews.
Yeah, I know. I want to get it.
So I'm like I may have to get it. And it's made in the style of the Link's Awakening remaster, which I love because I love that art style for Zelda. I'm going to say I agree with you on those two. I'm just going to throw this out there just to hopefully put it in the universe and say that it happens. What if we get a new Star Fox?
I would love that, but
we haven't seen anything with Star Fox in a long time. I think Nintendo needs some kind of a surprise title. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to throw that as my official prediction for like a surprise game for Nintendo. We're going to get a Star Fox at launch.
A new Metroid?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But isn't that coming out for... Well, did they say it was going to come out next year?
I don't remember when they said it was coming out.
I mean, other than the fact that it's a thing.
Yeah, I agree with
Stepdad Fighter.
Says, yeah, I agree with that.
New Star Fox and F-Zero.
F-Zero.
Yeah, I'm going to throw that out there as my prediction, is that we'll get a new Star Fox at the launch of the Switch 2, which I hope they don't call it the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I'm not... It's just basic and kind of lazy. I know PlayStation does it, but they already kind of own the corner on that. So
I hope they do Super Nintendo Switch. That would just sounds cool.
I'd love it. And do a special edition in the color scheme of the Super Nintendo, and I will buy that one. 100%. Yeah. But let's see. Oh, Joey says second Switch. That would actually be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Our next story comes to us from NintendoEverything.com. Lunar Remastered Collection announced for Switch. Gung Ho is bringing Lunar Remastered Collection to Switch, the company just announced, and will be available in spring 2025. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete, which both debuted on the Sega CD roughly 3 decades ago, are both included in the package. The two titles featured upgraded graphics, sound, and new quality of life improvements. Some additional information includes widescreen support, enhanced pixel art, HD animated cutscenes, and all new English voice acting. Players can choose to either go old school with the original visuals or go remastered for a more modern look. Plus, a new toggle feature allows players to speed up battles, giving them more control over the pace of their adventure, while improved strategy settings make combat even more convenient. So, I want to say we've talked about this before. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I think this is cool because there's not a lot of people that played games from the Sega CD other than Sonic CD. I mean, I know that was the only Sega CD game I ever played. So
yeah,
I think including both and they're remastered, it might be something that I check out.
Yeah, I don't remember the Lunar games at all. This is actually a story from Armez Jackson sent this in. And Nick W says he's excited for Lunar Remastered and Legacy of Kain. I just heard that the other day that they're putting out a remaster of Legacy of Kain here soon.
The Undertaker's brother's getting a remaster?
Yeah.
Just kidding. But yeah, the trailer looks pretty cool. The announcement trailer is at the bottom of the article.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks pretty good.
And this next story is also from Armez Jackson. He says, this game is dropping on the Switch very soon. I think you guys might get a kick out of it. It's called Bio Senshi Dan, and this is from HardcoreGaming101.net. It says, released in late 1987, Bio Senshi Dan Ink Riser Tuno Tetakai, or Bio Warrior Dan fight against the Ink Risers, is an interesting footnote in the history of video games as part of the first wave of Japanese games with more complex, non-linear gameplay ideas, most likely inspired by the success of Legend of Zelda and Metroid the previous year. However, unlike contemporaries such as Xanadu and Castlevania 2, it attempts to blend traditional side-scrolling action with a focus towards exploration and backtracking, resulting in a frustrating game that is more fascinating for its history and ideas than anything else. This is a pretty long article, but there's a lot of really cool screenshots in here from the game, and it looks really cool. So I might check this out as soon as it comes out. It's kind of like a sci-fi horror thing going on, almost like Contra, I guess.
I mentioned this about the game you reviewed last week, but graphics-wise, I get major Zelda 2 vibes from this. Oh, there's the Chucky head.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
I
check
love
that
that.
out. And it says on the back, it says, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?" Also, I wanted
You
to
should
show
just
this.
hold that over your face
Yeah.
for the rest of the show.
Here's the DVD. If you're watching on YouTube, this is great radio right here for your audio listeners. But here's the Halloween DVD. It's Halloween, an extended edition featuring 12 minutes of extra footage shot for television.
That's such a cool find. I love that cover too. It's
I know.
simple, but like that should have been one of the posters for the movie.
I know. I would love to have a poster of this. I need to get more horror movie posters to put up for Halloween because, in my living room I got the Star Wars posters and stuff up, but I would love to switch everything out for Halloween and actually have like Halloween, themed posters for October.
Yeah. Yeah, and you should put some, behind where you're sitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Swap them out for the horror stuff. But yeah, this game, like, it looks wise, it reminds me of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link a lot. But I mean, that's not a knock. Like, Zelda 2 actually is a pretty good looking NES game.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah, I kind of dig it. It reminds me, what was the Zelda 2 type game that we reviewed on the show a while back?
The newer one?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the name of that? Oh crap.
Here, I'll Google it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of
game.
it. I can see it, or like I can picture looking at my Switch and seeing the name of it, but I can't conjure it in my head.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find it at some point. No, it's not Shovel Knight.
No, it's not Shovel Knight. It's something night something.
It'll probably come to me at some point.
But anyway, this looks really cool, and it doesn't say when it's coming to the Switch, but I imagine it's got to be coming pretty soon. And I'll ask Armez Jackson to please keep us updated for when this drops on the Switch.
Yeah,
because I'll get it
for sure. IR Monkey says Xanadu. No, it wasn't that. It was a newer game that came out, but it was made in the style of like a Zelda 2.
Was it like Demon Sword or something Sword? Not Demon Sword.
Well, while you keep thinking of it, I'll read our last story.
All right.
From GamesRadar.com, going the Resident Evil route, Capcom says that a Dead Rising 2 remake or remaster is definitely possible, as long as Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster does well enough. Capcom successfully revitalized Resident Evil with a series of excellent remakes, and it seems the publisher might go down a similar route with its other zombie series. Capcom released Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster earlier this month, which is a more than remastered but not quite remade version of the classic 2006 game about a photojournalist who's stuck in a shopping mall when a zombie outbreak runs rampant. The controls are revamped, lines here and there are tweaked, and the entire game has been rebuilt in the RE engine, which was also used to remake Resident Evils, in case the name was too low-key. When asked about whether the company has plans to give other games in the series a similar deluxe remaster, producer Kei Morimoto says it's certainly on the cards. Remaking or remastering Dead Rising 2 is definitely possible. For the time being, we're monitoring market trends and how Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster performs. If we're able to identify an appropriate time where we'd be able to sell a remake or remaster of Dead Rising 2, there's potential for the project to be considered. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If one does well, they're going to make more. So if you want Capcom to keep making games or remastering games, you got to go buy them.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like the Dead Rising games. Did you ever play those for the 360?
I did not.
They it's kind of its time because of some of the mechanics in the game where you play as kind of he's a reporter or like a photojournalist, and you have to do tasks, but they're time tasks sometimes, which I could do without the time stuff. But you're going through and you're taking pictures of things, and it's kind of hard to explain. You just have to play it, and it's got a very, Dawn of the Dead-esque feel to it, and I just really liked it at the time. And if they do some remasters of it, I would be more than willing to dive back into that universe.
Yeah, I mean it seems like a cool series, so I'd be interested in checking it out.
Was it Agalos?
Yep, Rampage
Yes.
got it. It was
Thank
Agalos.
Thank you, Rampage. You get a sticker, sir. Make yourself a Nerd Cave Retro sticker.
You know what? We'll even throw in a free download of the show.
Yeah.
How about that?
Free download of the show and a sticker. Treat yourself, buddy. Treat yourself.
Funny story. Back when I used to work at the Blue Wahoos, there were a couple of times where we did Star Wars night, and I did a live version of my podcast from the stadium. And I wanted to make these cards with like all my social media info, and then put in a QR code for a free download of an episode.
Yeah.
To get on one hand, all the older people would have been like, "Oh, it's so nice of him to give out something for free," but then those that are in the know are like,
Yeah.
"You're such a douchebag."
Hey, it's a good idea to drum up some interest in the show, though, especially for people that don't know. Because a lot of people, you tell them you do a podcast, and the first thing they ask is like, "Well, how do I listen to it?" Like, how do you not know how to get a podcast by now? Like, they've been around for 20 years now.
And plus, we live in the age of information. All you got to do is pull up Google. If you type in Nerd Cave Retro,
Yeah.
we're gonna pop up.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we've dominated Nerd Cave Retro or NCR on Google. All you got to do is just type one of those two things in, and you'll run into us.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, the whole making, I'm for remastering games, especially horror games, because they don't really do horror games like they used to. I'm ready for a Condemned remaster from the Xbox 360. Bring that back.
Well, I think now enough time has gone by where you could remaster games from the 360 era.
Yeah.
Because they still don't look bad, but graphics and gameplay have improved a little bit in the near 20 years that since those games have been released. So,
and I'm just gonna say,
I'm all for it.
The Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era was probably one of the greatest eras of video games. I'm just gonna say that because there's so many good games between, for that era of gaming. There's so many good games they could just bring back, because there are a lot of people that play video games now that probably never played any of those games, and you can just bring them back now, fresh, with a fresh coat of paint. You'll get a whole bunch of new people playing them, and people that played them back then will be like, "Holy crap, I'm playing this again."
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. But that's going to bring us to the end of the news, and now it is time for this month in video game history. Let's see. September of 1995, Sega releases Wild Woody for the Sega CD. Do I want to know what this game is?
I'll read the description, because when I saw this title, I'm like, okay, I have to know what this is. It is a 1995 platform video game developed and published by Sega for the Sega CD. The game's premise is centered on the eponymous character, an anthropomorphic talking pencil who must gather the scattered pieces of the totem pole that brought him to life. Woody is capable of erasing enemies and obstacles as well as creating sketches to destroy enemies or improve his navigation. He sounds like a broken character to me. If you could just simply erase everything.
I mean, in this era of gaming, how many drugs were consumed to come up with all these games like this?
I think I might review this before the end of the year.
It sounds awesome, actually.
It sounds wacky enough that I want to play it.
Mm-hmm. I love the actual game art for this game. It's so weird looking.
Yeah, it's.
I would wear a T-shirt of this. It's a pencil with a face, and he's holding a stick of dynamite. Like, that just screams T-shirt. I would wear a T-shirt of that.
And his teeth are so large that they freak me out a little bit. It does include 3D rendered cutscenes featuring motion capture animation, though.
Who did the motion capture?
See, it doesn't say.
Andy Serkis in his early role as Wild Woody.
Yeah, I've got to find out more about this.
Oh, it's called
September.
It's called Wild Woody, Joey. He said he had to step away for a second.
Oh, gotcha. September 24th of 1997, Running with Scissors, what a name for a development title, releases Postal for Mac and Windows.
Wow.
And it is about, you assume the role of the Postal Dude, a man who commits mass murder through the fictional town of Paradise, Arizona, to cure what he believes to be a hate plague released by the United States Air Force.
Let me ask something of the chat room. Maybe you know this, Derek. Is going postal still a thing that people say whenever somebody goes crazy, or is that a thing of the past?
I haven't heard that phrase in a long time.
Because we used to say going postal all the time, like back in the 90s, early 2000s, but I just don't know if it's still a thing.
I haven't heard it in years. But whenever I was, looking up the stuff for video game history and I saw that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, surely this can't be a game about the U.S. Postal Service. So it has to be about somebody going postal.
Yeah, because I don't know if anybody knows the story, but like back in the 90s, there was a post office worker that went crazy and went in and shot up a post office. So it was like one of those huge news stories that just like dominated for like months. And so every time people started going crazy, we just said somebody's going postal.
Joey says, had to step away. My dog got the zoomies, and Usain bolted into every room in the house. I would have loved to have seen video of that.
Buddy the Italian Beagle, everybody.
Gotta love Buddy.
September 16th of 2003, Radical Entertainment releases The Simpsons Hit and Run for the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox in North America. Now, this is a game that deserves a remaster. Holy crap, did you ever play Simpsons Hit and Run?
Oh, absolutely.
This
game was so much fun.
I mean,
it's minus the arcade game, I would say the best Simpsons game ever made.
It's Grand Theft Auto in Springfield is what it is. And if you've never played it, go buy a PS2, go buy this game, and that's all you need is just this. Maybe Twisted Metal. This and Twisted Metal. Those two games, that's all you need for the PS2.
I think we should review this before the year's out.
I think so too. When did this come out? In
2003.
Oh, yeah, it qualifies as retro now.
I mean, the game I'm reviewing tonight is from 2004, so if it qualifies, this definitely does.
Oh man, I remember renting Hit and Run at the time for the original Xbox, and then immediately, as soon as I took it back to Blockbuster, I went directly to Toys R Us and bought a copy of it for the original Xbox. So like, I have to have this game.
You know what would have been funny is whenever you took it back to Blockbuster, if you had done the gif of Grandpa Simpson where he like walks in and immediately walks out, except you immediately walk back in and be like, "Hi, I'd like to rent the Simpsons Hit and Run, please."
Yeah. Oh, I thought about renting it again, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep renting it, so it's probably going to be cheaper for me to just go ahead and buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And finally, on September 28th of 2004, Traveler's Tales releases Crash Twinsanity for the PS2 and Xbox in North America. This was Crash was waning in popularity at that time. I liked the concept of this game because you could play as both Crash and Dr. Cortex, and they would have like tag team moves essentially. I never played it, so eventually I will. But by then, I had fallen out of the Crash Bandicoot phase because I enjoyed the first 3 games, but after the 4th one, it was like, it's just kind of the same old thing. And then when this came out, I was like, I'm kind of done with Crash Bandicoot.
And Joey in the chat room says the Wild Woody pencil shirt is $22 on Redbubble. I might have to get me a Wild Woody shirt.
That screams Christmas present.
Yeah. So, but is this this Crash Twinsanity game? Is it open world? As it says, the player can explore the game's environments in all directions and travel seamlessly between levels.
Maybe so. Like I said, I've never played it, so I couldn't tell you what the gameplay is even like.
This might be something else for you to review soon.
Yeah, I think so. And it says here that Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Cortex must work together to stop the evil twins, a pair of interdimensional parrots, from destroying Insanity Island.
Okay.
I mean, there's enough reason right there.
Yeah, I'm for it. If I find a copy of this before you, I might review it.
Yeah.
Man. But that's going to bring us to the end of this month of video game history. And Derek, do you want to do our Patreon shout-outs before we go into the review?
As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Mr. Wally Phelps, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yupfed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. over on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B. Rez Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage.
Rampage!
Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions to keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. And this is where the inserted pre-recorded bit of me saying for as little as $1 a month, you get your own RSS feed with 0 ads. Just continuous banter from the two of us.
Look, everybody, I probably have $1 in change on the floor around me here, around my desk. I know you've got at least $1 in change around you and your desk. So just gather up that change and go be a patron.
And you get early access to our bonus episodes. If you want to hear our take on No Holds Barred, you don't want to wait a month for grade A content like that.
What's that smell?
Dookie.
If you want magic like that.
Grade A content. If you want it now, just head on over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro to join our awesome Patreon community. And for you new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we're going to be talking about... That's jaunty.
Just makes me want to go walk outside and try and catch some Pokemon.
Yeah, some Pokemon.
Yeah, some Pokemans. So yeah, tonight I'm going to be talking about Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, which are 2004 remakes of the 1996 role-playing video games Pokemon Red and Blue, which is, you Pokemon purists will know, those are the original Pokemon games, the ones that started all the craze back in 1996. And I still remember to this day seeing that game in Walmart, and I had to have it. I knew little to nothing about Pokemon. I knew about the cartoon, but I had never played the games yet. And I felt like I was a little too old for the Pokemon craze, because I would have been, that was 96, so I would have been 10 at that point. So
what were the original Red and Blue on? What
they were on the
system?
original Game Boy.
The original Game Boy. Okay.
Yep, the original Game Boy. So in Japan, the original two games were blue or red and green, but it was switched to blue for some reason that I'm not sure of.
Because we can't have the same stuff as Japan.
No, because back
get
then the games in Japan would be a little different. The ones in Europe would be a little different. Why, I have no idea. They were just that way.
So weird.
Yeah. So the reason why there are two different versions of the game is because there are specific Pokemon that you can catch in red, and there are specific ones that you can catch in whether it's blue or green. And it's the same in the remakes too. And funny enough, I actually didn't play the remake of this game until 2010, because I had fallen out of Pokemon by that point. But in 2009, there were remastered versions of Pokemon Gold and Silver for the DS. And then I remembered, oh, there's a remake of the original one, so I'll go back and play it. And of course, I love that original game. It's one of my favorite Game Boy games of all time. The replayability is just endless, because you're trying to catch all these different types of Pokemon, try and level them up, and be as powerful as you can. And it's almost...
Stepdad Fighter in the chat room brings up a little piece of trivia. He says, according to Google, Game Freak's attempt to appeal to a North American audience by using the colors of the U.S. flag, red and blue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I buy that. So the way the game works, I mean, if you've played any Pokemon game, you know how the formula is. You're a Pokemon trainer. You get what's called a starter Pokemon. You get to choose between one of three at the beginning of the game. And this, you could choose either Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. And all the Pokemon have different types that, are strong and weak against other types. So there's grass, fire, electric, water, ice. I'm trying to remember all of them, but there's a lot. There's psychic, ghost, bug type.
I'm sorry, just the name Squirtle. I'm a 12-year-old.
And what's funny is that's one of my two favorite Pokemon. Yeah. He's a little blue turtle that does water attacks.
Yeah, and you felt too old for Pokemon. I was definitely, out of the wheelhouse for Pokemon, because in 96 I was already 19 years old at the time, so I was like, I'm not into this at all, Pokemon stuff.
What are these Pokemon things?
And it was huge, though. I remember at the time.
Oh, my God,
holy
yes.
crap. Every kid I knew was all about Pokemon.
Because you had the games, you had the cartoon, you had the trading card game, then you had like the action figures, you had other, toys that you could get. There's been a ton of money made off of Pokemon. I remember especially during that phrase.
And I remember going to the comic book store that I used to go to all the time back then. Now, it was around the time they really started bringing in all the gaming type stuff around that time. And, man, it was all Pokemon all the time when you walked into the comic book shop.
Joey says, I never got into Pokemon. Still don't care about it. Am I too old?
At this point,
you're as old as you feel, Joey. Because I feel about about 95 today.
Yeah.
So I'd say I'm probably definitely too old. But I was thinking of, just like something new to play, or not new to play, but just something that I haven't played in a while. And then I started looking up stuff from the original Pokemon game. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't played Fire Red or Leaf Green in a long time. And then I looked at the release date and I saw it was 2004. So I'm like, that falls right into the category of what's review worthy on the show. So yeah, I started playing Fire Red a couple of weeks ago, and any free time that I've had, I've spent. I've laid in bed until close to midnight on multiple nights playing this because the Delta app still works. Nintendo hasn't shut it down yet.
Wow.
So
I don't
I
think they
found
ever will. Pokemon is still too much of a viable product to ever shut down any whatever servers they have open for these games or in anything like that.
yeah, I hope it stays because it's just so convenient. And playing Game Boy games on it is perfect because when you're playing it on your phone, like you can hold it in landscape mode, but when you hold it portrait style, it's like you're playing an actual Game Boy.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfect. So what they did was they of course they upgraded the graphics to reflect the most recent Pokemon game that came out at the time, which I think might have been Ruby and Sapphire. I didn't play those, but the game does a good job of mixing in newer elements from like the more modern Pokemon games from that time, because with every generation of Pokemon game that comes out, they put out a new batch of Pokemon that you can catch, or like new types. They mix that in with what's a remake of the original. Now you can't catch the newer Pokemon until you essentially beat the main portion of the game, because your goal is you're traveling around what's called the Kanto region, and you're fighting different gym leaders. And once you defeat them, then you get a particular badge. And with these badges, like stronger level Pokemon will obey you. You can use special attacks like there's a move you can learn called Flash that lights up like dark caverns. So you can progress through the game. There's a move called Surf that you learn so you can actually sit on your water Pokemon and like sail through the ocean and things like that. So you learn these different moves and you have to get these different badges to progress through the game. Once you get all 8, then you can go to the Pokemon League Championships to fight the Elite Four, which are the 4 strongest trainers in the region. And I learned that the hard way because as long as I've been a player of the Pokemon games, I like to have a very balanced team. Like I try not to have one that's, like level 60 and the others are like 30 or 35. But doing that can be quite difficult because you have to battle other Pokemon and other trainers in order to level up your team. And that can get very taxing to try and level one up, and then you release another one and you try and level them up and whatnot. So the first time I fought the Elite Four, I didn't make it past the first person because I got the crap beat out of me. So anyway, I like that it includes elements of the newer games, like different types that you can use to your advantage that you couldn't in the original one. The graphics, and I put this in my notes, but the graphics were actually criticized by some of the reviewers. But I kind of like the style of it, though. It's simple, it's cartoonish. I mean, it's not that ugly green like from the original Game Boy. Like to me, everything's bright. It looks like a cartoon. To me, it's how Pokemon should look.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I saw your note, and I saw some of the stuff here in the Wikipedia page about it. Like the people were complaining about the graphics for it, but it just looks like a Super Nintendo game to me. Like what? I mean, it's simplistic, yeah, but it's not bad to look at.
There's been some worse looking Super Nintendo games
Yeah.
that we've reviewed on this show for
Yes,
sure.
there have been.
I didn't get that. Like to me, it's really more of like a personal preference. But I like the look of the game.
And they must have not hated it too much because it sold a total of 12 million copies worldwide.
Well, and you look at the Pokemon craze, and people will still go back to the originals.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do that a lot with like movies or like if a show is remade. Chances are we're still going to like the original better.
Yeah.
And that's how this is. But I liked that they put a fresh coat of paint on it and they added something new. That's why when they released that open world Pokemon game for the Switch, they should have remade this game because it would have sold like crazy.
Yeah.
Like I would have bought it day one and I would probably still be playing it to this day.
And see, if you keep that same art style too, like that very simplistic, almost cartoonish look, like it tends to last longer and hold up better than if you try to go like realistic or try to do too much with it. Like the simpler something looks and the more pretty it is, the longer it's going to last.
I mean, we talked about that with some of the Zelda games.
Exactly.
They went super realistic, for the time with Twilight Princess.
Nobody remembers that game.
People don't talk about it as much.
Nope. But you take something like what's the Wind Waker? Yeah, it's cartoony, but I mean it's still one of the most beloved Zelda games out there that people still play and still want. I would still play a new remastered version of that.
It got some comments in the chat. Rampage says my very first Pokemon game was Yellow. That's still my favorite to this day. It came out shortly after Red and Blue, back in the late 90s, and it patterned more of the cartoon. So like you got Pikachu as your starter instead of choosing between the original three, and he actually follows you, like because in the cartoon he never wanted to be inside his Pokeball, so he would just stay outside with you. And plus they include, like the Pokemon and the characters look more like the anime. They include, some characters that were exclusive to the anime but weren't in the original game. So Yellow's still, it's probably top 3 favorite Game Boy game of all time to me. Stepdad Fighter says, got my first Game Boy, which was a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Blue. Christmas 1998. Man, those were some good times.
That was 24 years ago. No,
yeah,
26 years ago.
Yeah.
26.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel with the.
How is 1998 26 years ago? How? When did that happen?
I don't know, but I've found myself becoming like that old man that says, "Oh, things were better back in my day."
You know what? It was. I'm sorry.
After criticizing it for so long, I have become that person. But you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
But if fans of the original have never played the remake, I highly suggest that you do. Because it really does add a whole new experience. Because you even when you get, I'd say about a little over 2/3 of the way through the game, after you get your 7th badge, you get taken to what's called the Sevi Islands, which I think were in Ruby and Sapphire. And you do a couple of side quests there before you resume your journey back in Kanto. But when you beat the Elite Four, you can go to the Sevi Islands, and then you can start catching, the newer Pokemon, and you can like add to your Pokedex, and things like that. So this adds a lot of replayability, and the game already had a lot of replayability anyway, because you can play through it once where you choose, say, Bulbasaur, and then you could go through it again and choose Charmander, and it adds a whole new experience. Because when you go through the different gyms, they each specialize in different types. And that's where you have to really strategize. Like, water is obviously going to beat fire. Electric's going to beat water. so on and so forth. So you really have to kind of strategize and train up your team so that you can go through and, kick some what. I'm going to try and keep this PG.
I mean, it
But
sounds interesting, and I've never played any of the Pokemon games, so one of these days, I'm going to try out one of these games.
Rampage also says, I always start with fire type or something that can become fire type, like Eevee,
Yeah.
which is like his dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun game to play because like I love the Pokemon games, but I can't play them very often for reasons that I just mentioned because I will play and play and play, and I will lose track of time through playing these games. Just to go through the rest of my notes really quick. I know we're coming up here on the end of the show, but the music, which you played a little snippet of, it's okay. I like the remixes of the battle themes, especially when you get to like the gym leaders and the Elite Four. The music is pretty cool.
It says,
But there are some of the tracks that could have been mixed better, in my opinion.
it says here a 2-disc set of the music entitled GBA Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green Super Complete was released, with the first disc featuring all the music used normally in-game, while the second disc featured bonus tracks based on and inspired by the music in the games. Among these are 2 vocal tracks.
I'll have to look that up. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Let's see, and I mentioned this, enough new material is added, side quests, and the ability to catch new Pokemon so that those who played the original aren't playing an exact rehash. Overall, and I'll go into the reception here. Reviews of Fire Red and Leaf Green were mostly positive, and the games currently hold an aggregate score of 81% on Metacritic. Joe Menifee, or Menif, I'm sure both of those are wrong, of the New Zealand Herald praised the game for resolving the connectivity issues that Ruby and Sapphire had at the time, which would convince older players to get back into Pokemon. Craig Harris of IGN gave the games an outstanding 9 out of 10 rating and praised the creators of the games for creating a game that works extremely well for the handheld market. It doesn't have quite the same variety as Ruby and Sapphire, but it's still incredibly satisfying. Game Informer gave it 8 out of 10, GameSpot 8.4, GameSpy 4 out of 5 stars, and Nintendo Power 4.5 out of 5 stars. I love this game. Yellow is still my favorite Pokemon game, but this Fire Red and Leaf Green are my number 2. I loved going back and playing it. It has enough new material that it doesn't feel like you're just playing the same old Red and Blue from 1996.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this a solid 9. Like it's been a lot of fun.
That's
and I haven't beat it yet, and I'm still going to keep playing it until I beat the Elite Four.
That's awesome. It's always nice when we review a game that you really get into and you're like, I'm so glad I played this.
And I've been needing that for a while because I feel like the last couple of games that I've reviewed have been like,
I've played some turds the last couple of shows.
Oh, man. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Fantastic. And like we said at the beginning of the show, next week is going to be top 5 spooky movies for Halloween. Whatever movie gets you in the Halloween mood, because it is October. It's the spoopy season, everybody. So let us know what you like to watch for Halloween. And so get us those either through email, or you can go on the Discord. We have a top 5. What do you call those? Message boards in there, or top 5, whatever, little tab. Go in that tab. You see the top 5, click the tab. You go in there and you let us know what your top 5 list is. Or you can let us know on all the socials. Wherever you want to do it, I will aggregate them all into one Google Doc and read them on the show next week. And Derek, what's going on with Real Wisdom?
Yeah, so this past Thursday, I released my episode with documentary filmmaker George Siegel. He made a documentary about it's not really a housing crisis, but the fact that houses, especially in Florida, because he lives in Tampa, and I hope he's okay from the storm, because Tampa and St. Pete, got hit pretty hard. I messaged him and haven't heard back, so I'm a little concerned. But yeah, we had a great chat about, the essentially like the emotions that documentary films can invoke. So you can check that out at Real Wisdom with Derek Diamond at linktree.com/REEL Wisdom Pod. You can also find links to the social media, the YouTube channel, and if you want to subscribe to the show, everything is in that location.
And also, with the storm that hit last week, Hurricane Helene, all of our listeners in the, Florida, Georgia, South North Carolina area, check in. Let us know you're all good, because that was a monster.
Yeah, the Carolinas got hit really hard,
bad,
like real bad. Like that storm was about as big as the Southeast.
Yeah, it was like 490 miles wide. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But on funnier news, go listen to the Open Micers podcast at Open Micers on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Last week we had another hostful episode where me and Jacob talked about a nightmare open mic that we did last Tuesday, and it was not fun. So go listen to all about that adventure at openmicers.com. And anything else before we get out of here this week?
I think that's it.
Well, let's step out the door. If you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials. We have a never-ending Discord invite on there, so just click that Discord button and it takes you right to the Discord app and part of our little online community there. We had some new members join us last week, so Stepdad Fighter joined us last week, so welcome him into the fold, and a few other people too over the last few weeks. So welcome everybody to the Discord. Also, ncrmerch.com is our site to get all of our merch: t-shirts, hats, stickers, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy heart desires. If you can't do that, you don't have any money, can't be a patron, I get it. Go leave us a review wherever podcasts are given away for free. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
You blew it!
And that's an episode.
Yeah.
Rampage said he's been trying to reach out via social cell service, has been spotty in the Tampa area. Whew.
Yeah, I've a friend of mine who lives right outside of Miami. One of his coworkers, their St. Petersburg apartment, like their whole complex flooded.
Jeez. Have you been seeing some of the flooding videos from like North and South Carolina and stuff? And even Tennessee, I think, had some crazy flooding. Like, this storm was crazy.
Yeah, there was a clip I watched of a house floating away, and I'm just like, my God.
That's nuts. That's kind of what happened during Katrina. When Katrina hit here, the President Casino actually lifted up and went like half a mile down the road and landed in the parking lot of the Coast Coliseum. Oh no, Pete Rose passed away, Joey said in the chat room.
What?
Okay, they gotta let him into the Hall of Fame now.
I mean, he should have been already, but
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Let me look up Pete
I gotta look
Rose.
that up. Pete Rose.
Yep, it's official.
Yeah.
He passed away today. Wow.
83 years old.
They need to let him into the Hall of Fame. That's insane.
And now it's disgusting that they haven't put him in.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I understand he was betting on the games, but he was betting on his own team. So why is that such a bad thing?
If they put in anyone who used steroids...
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I rest my case.
Wow. Well, yeah, rest in peace. Chris Christopherson, Pete Rose.
It's been a bad stretch for famous people.
Maggie Smith, like it's starting to
Yeah.
turn into 2016 again.
Do you remember the movie Hook, right? Where Robin Williams plays Peter Pan?
Yeah.
I forgot that Maggie Smith played Wendy.
Did she? I forgot. Dude, I haven't seen that movie in freaking 25 years probably.
I saw this this meme on Facebook that like it got me choked up, kind of like that one with James Earl Jones where he's
that's
holding
what that was from. I forgot what movie that was from.
and Robin Williams is waiting for her at the gates of heaven, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's poetic.
Chris Christopherson, like I've listened to a little bit of his music, but I loved him in Blade.
Yeah.
He was so good as
Yeah,
Whistler.
he was
my
great.
favorite character.
But yeah, rest in peace
man.
to all of those, greats who've passed away.
Oh yeah, Pete Rose was put in the WWE Hall of Fame. He had a great run where
The WWE Hall of Fame?
so back in 1998 at WrestleMania, he was the ring announcer for the Undertaker versus Kane match, and they were in
Wow.
Boston. So of course he's crapping on the Red Sox. Kane comes out and gives him the Tombstone pile driver.
That's awesome.
So then the following year, he shows up. Pete Rose shows up dressed as the San Diego Chicken, and jumps Kane to try and get revenge. And Kane rips the head off, and then tombstones him again.
Oh, there's got to be highlights of that on YouTube.
Oh,
or something.
100%. Like that was a stretch there where like that was one of the things I was looking forward to the most at WrestleMania was to see like how Pete Rose was going to get back at him. And of
Yeah.
course, when Pete Rose was put in the Hall of Fame at WWE, Kane inducted him.
That's awesome.
So that was cool.
Well, rest in peace, Pete Rose
Yeah.
and Chris Christopherson,
Legend.
Maggie Smith. Man, bad couple of days.
It happens in threes, my friend.
Yeah, I know. Well, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next week.